This week's episode of Chat Chow is brought to you by Cuban Dichos, the highest rated Cuban app on iTunes. Download it now at cubanapp.com.
Today we are chatting with Danny Jimenez, wine and liquor consultant. So we're here at the beautiful outside patio at Barry's in Coconut Grove, and I want to ask you, what are we drinking?
We are enjoying a couple of their menued cocktails. This is a passion mango martini that you're having, and this is a touch of berry. They both have fresh muddled fruit. And they sell a ton of these, so you want to give it a taste?
Yeah, definitely.
Cheers.
Cheers. Delicious.
Delicious.
So as a wine and liquor consultant, what would you say is your favorite food and beverage pairing?
My favorite food and beverage pairing, I'm kind of traditional. If I have fish, I'll probably stick to white wine pairings. I love Sauvignon Blanc. I love California Chardonnays. If I have something spicy, I'll probably go with beer. I do love a good classic beer. If I have Mexican or Peruvian or something like that that's spicy, I'll probably go with beer. As far as cocktails are concerned, they do make a couple of good cocktails around town with jalapeno, with basil, with cucumber. So it depends on what I'm having there. And as far as meats and heavy foods are concerned, I love my red wine. So I love good Pinot, good Cab. Yeah, I enjoy that.
Nothing like a good glass of red wine.
Absolutely.
So have you been seeing a lot of trendy cocktails or any classics that are really making a comeback?
Funny you should say that about classic cocktails. Classic cocktails, a lot of times come from the classic cocktail cities in the United States. New York, Chicago, a lot of San Francisco. And a lot of those cities are a lot older than Miami. Most of them endured Prohibition, which forced creativity. So I think that as a young city, we're coming into our own with cocktails. We don't just make mojitos anymore. You know, there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of culinary background in cocktails now that didn't used to exist before. And I'm really happy. I'm happy to be part of a new generation of cocktail drinkers here in Miami that are young, that have the palate, a developed palate for it that didn't exist 20 years ago. So I think people are going out, they're experimenting, they're trying new things, and I can only see the cocktail culture here getting better.
Now, as far as classics, classic drinks that are making a comeback,
classic
so any
drinks,
examples?
The Sidecar, for example, Sazerac,
right.
Classic martinis,
okay.
A lot of things like that that just, you know, no one was drinking before, no one even knew about them. And now you're just seeing them on menus and you're seeing people ordering them, and I love that. I love to see that.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to switch it up for a second, and I want to ask you, off the top of your head, what would you say are your top 3 favorite restaurants in Miami?
Top 3 favorite restaurants?
Choose 3.
I'll say, off the top of my head, for sure, one of them is called Aromas del Peru. It's a Peruvian restaurant that just opened in the Gables. They may have the best ceviche I've ever had. So I have it pretty often there. It's a little spicy, it's really good. If you love Peruvian food, you'll love their food. They have a couple of other locations as well. Off the top of my head, I have to say there's a food truck called The Mexican. I know that sounds a little grimy, but it's great food, man. I follow that guy wherever he goes. And Sequoia Kitchen is also excellent. Their pork buns are ridiculous. They're going to shave a year off my life easy.
So now that you mentioned food trucks, I want to ask you, the food truck trend, you love it? You hate it? Thoughts? What do you think?
I love it. I don't think there's anything to hate about it, to be honest with you. Anything that kind of challenges the status quo and makes people improve their game a little bit, I think is good, and that's what this is doing. It's challenging what people think great food costs, where they can get it. To have a great, you know, Chinese food dish on the side of a street somewhere for a fraction of the cost of a restaurant. It's great, so I love it.
Awesome. So are you the type of person that likes to try the same dish over and over again because you know you love it, or do you like to venture out and try new things?
I'm definitely both, but I have to admit, I'm pretty monogamous to great food.
Okay.
When I go into a restaurant, I'll be adventurous until I find that great dish.
Okay.
And then it'll probably take me a while to not order anything, or not order something else, because I'm just going to go back to it, and back to it.
Anything you can think of?
what I just said, that Aromas del Peru, I mean, they have such an extensive menu, and I have the same ceviche every time I go in there. Because when I think of ceviche, I want to go there.
Right.
So that's why I do it.
Makes sense. So I have to ask,
Uh-oh.
what would be your last meal on Earth?
Last
If you were to
meal
die
on Earth.
tomorrow, what would your last meal be?
I would have to say rabo encendido. I know it sounds funny, but it's just a classic Cuban dish. It's hearty, it's spicy. I could accompany it with maybe a nice beer, a nice glass of wine. So that'd be a great last meal to have.
So for people who don't know what that is,
it's basically a slowly cooked either beef or oxtail.
okay.
So it's very rich and hearty in flavors. And actually, I would also finish that off with malta with condensed milk. That makes me think of my grandmother. When I have that, I always think of my grandmother, and I would definitely want to die with that thought going through my head if I could.
That's lovely. Danny, thank you so much for being on the show today and
You're
talking
welcome.
with me. How about we have a little final goodbye cheers?
To life and health. Cheers.
Wonderful. Okay, perfect.
Do I get a kiss?